Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes.
Welcome everyone to an episode of Outside the Panels. I'm your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes, and as winter draws on and Christmas comes ever nearer, it's time to warm our cockles, the bottom of our hearts, with a fun, kind of all ages demon book, monster book. Here to talk about it is writer, artist, colorist, tea maker, coffee maker, the dude that staples the thing in the middle. It is the ultra talented Norm Konyu. How's it going, Norm?
Not so bad, Johnny. How about yourself?
I'm all right. I took a whiff on your surname there. I was like, I know what that is, and then I went and got it.
No, not bad, not bad. I've had some terrible pronunciations, but that's pretty well on the mark.
I'm going to blame my northern accent. There you go. When we saw each other at the weekend, just gone. Were you down at Thought Bubble?
I was up at Thought Bubble for me, but
of course, that's right. Yeah, geography. Did you have a good time?
Oh, it was a really good con. It was very busy, and the thing about Thought Bubble is everyone's there for comics.
Yeah, that's a good call.
You know, that's the fantastic thing about it. It's not about Funko Pops or anything else on the side.
Yeah, Forbidden Planet. Listen, it's not about Funko Pops. So my wife and I, we went to Thought Bubble. It's the first time we've been to the one at Hastings. The last time we went, it was at Leeds. And man, it's got big.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
walking around.
As a creator, you can't find the other people that you know.
Yeah.
Even with the maps, it's just impossible. And then, just as the weekend's finished, people are putting up about, their experiences at Thought Bubble, and I was like, I didn't even know you were there.
So, did you manage to hang out with anybody that you liked? And did you manage to fanboy on anyone?
I'm not the hugest fanboy. I'm a little bit like. Generally, people will say who they are, and most will over my head. But I did have a really nice chat with John McCrae.
Okay, cool.
And he was at my table for a bit. Really, really lovely fellow, and I knew him and his work, so that was a good one. But we have a core of people, other creators I know that we kind of hang out. It's Thought Bubble is almost half social occasion.
Of course,
that's
what we found out. My wife was amazed when we went down because obviously through the pod and Comic Crusaders, I had some passes. So the queue when we got there at 11:10 was like 500, 600, 700 deep.
Yeah.
So I said to my wife, "You wait here. I'll go and see if the passes are down at the door." So I walked down, got the passes. So I rang my wife and said, "You just walk down." So she's walking down to meet me, and everyone's like giving her the daggers. Yeah, like the daggers. But we decided next time we're going to come later in the day so they can hang out and sort of like have some drinks and stuff because I bumped into so many people who've been on the show.
Yeah.
And it was just so great to be able to put names to faces and, and I've got to be honest, sometimes I remember the comic or the book more quicker than I remember the person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I know that book. Where's that?
Yeah, in this day and age, most people you've talked to have been little avatars about that big on the screen. So when you get to meet them in person, it sometimes takes a while to make that connection.
So spoke to someone and said, I went to introduce myself, and they were like, "Oh, I'm coming on your show." I was like, "Oh man," and I felt so bad. I felt so embarrassed. I was like, "Oh well, man, that's what I do 3 days a week, whereas."
Yeah,
I do one. Anyway, enough about Thought Bubble. Guys, if you're interested in what we're talking about, go and check out Twitter, Thought Bubble 2023. You can register now for their early press email for next year. All right, it is a week-long festival of comic book art held at Leeds Monday to Friday, then ships over to Harrogate for the 2-day con. 2 days of comic books, and it's not just Marvel or DC. In fact, they're nearly there. It is practically indie books from sci-fi to LGBTQ to monsters to whatever is your fancy. It is humongous. There you go. Thought
That's a
Bubble should pay
good
me.
selling point there. Good.
Yeah, cool. Right, enough about them. Let's talk about you. You have a book coming out through Titan, Call to Cthulhu.
Mhm.
I'm guessing from the title of the book, I think I know what it's about. But why don't we dig a little bit further? What's the book all about?
It's a bit of fun with H.P. Lovecraft. We generally just don't laugh along enough with him. And it was a bit of a little side project for me. I've been working on some longer, proper graphic novels, and when you're talking 2 years on the same project, you need something else to break up break it all up. So this was something I worked on. Very different than my other books. It's lighthearted, part comic, part children's storybook, not really for kids, part art book, I guess. And it was just a bit of fun, as I said. Hopefully that's the way people take it, and the hardcore H.P. Lovecraft fans don't get insulted.
What is it about Cthulhu that just people absolutely love? Because demons aren't my thing overly much, but I will say that even I know who Cthulhu is, and yet there's people who have them like tattooed on their bodies, they have them all over the shop. What is it about this particular one that sort of like grabs the attention?
I don't know, and to be honest, when I did this, I wasn't aware of how big that kind of scene is. I was, kind of harking back to my teenage years when I picked up the reprints of Lovecraft books and was reading them, and I was the only person that I knew of it, based on I'd only heard about it because I'd heard Stephen King speaking about some of his influences, so I looked it up. But nowadays, I don't know, has it got something to do with the fact that anyone can work with it now? It's out of copyright. So there's a huge scene of people feeding into the whole Cthulhu scene from games and books, and there's a lot of stuff on Kickstarter. Kind of basically fans comics.
Okay, I love a good Kickstarter. I do love a good Kickstarter. Writer, artist, creator. We said at the start of the pod. Which do you find? Which do you find easier? Which do you find challenging? Are you more writer than artist, or are you more artist than writer? Or is it kind of like just segues together?
Yeah, it's hard. It's sometimes because it's a personal. All my books are a personal thing. I do everything on it, so they're very much intertwined. I suppose the writing, the structuring is more difficult. I'm an animator. That's my day job, so I'm used to drawing in some respect or creating visually. So the writing is probably the tougher of the two. But because it's my own project, I will often go flying ahead with visuals before I really pin down the writing. Sometimes to terrible results and having to scrap the whole thing. But I have that option where someone working it as a team doesn't have that option. The writer has to down and solid before the artist gets on it.
I can imagine you doing this ton of work, and then your writer brain kicking in saying, "Right, thanks. How the hell am I supposed to put this all together?" Having a bit of a stop.
I had a lot of that in my first book, The Junction, that I hadn't nailed it down enough, and I got partway through, and it's like, this doesn't feel right, and that should have been sorted at the writing stage. So there was a lot of waste on this project. This project was so quick to do because it was fun, and each illustration is one chosen image from each of Lovecraft's stories. Okay. So I didn't have to worry about the images being sequential. It was like, what's the image that comes to mind for this story? One image, do it, get it down. Next one, it's the writing that strings it all together.
One image. Well, I have to say, I'm going to segue a little bit because this image, I have a black and white cat called Nokia. And I saw this picture and I was like, is this what my cat thinks of me? Great.
Cat, cats, you can't trust a cat. Come on, I'm a dog person.
I'm a cat
I don't know
person.
if I lost half your viewers right away saying that, but
Oh,
your cat will have you sooner than not if it needs to.
my cat's bonkers though. My cat, when I feed it in the morning, it goes out in the night. I feed it in the morning, it comes back in. Unless I pick it up and cuddle it till it purrs, it won't touch its food. It's honestly, it's bonkers. It wants that, but what can I say? Well, it's got a daft name, hasn't it? Nokia, for Christ's sakes. Who calls a cat Nokia?
You do, obviously.
Well, no, it's a rescue cat. So
I see. Okay.
it was rescued from a vet. It being tied to a vet's handle by a phone charger. So the vet decided to give the cat PTSD with the daft name. So
yeah,
and we just kept the name. So it's cool. We'll have a look at some of the art of the book, because I get that it's supposed to be fun, and it is. I love the opening dialogue. The phone call made me smile. I've had phone calls like that. And then what kind of really got me was the art. I absolutely loved some of the art. It's so clever, so kind of emotive in lots of different ways. The colors are gorgeous. You're going to spoil my viewpoint. I look at this and I think painted colors. Is it digital with painted effects?
There is a mix.
Hey.
The actual drawing is all done in Illustrator, so it's all vector work. So that's all the sharp edges. And what I've done is I have a library of real life paint swatches that I've done and scanned in, and then I bring that in. So the actual effects are scanned real textures from paint.
Cool. See, that's clever. That's the sort of thing I like. I get the digital art's probably come along, the probably the thing that's come along the furthest in the last 20, 25, maybe 30 years in comic books. But sometimes when you see like a painted page and it's just wow, it just really works. I love the kind of how you've meshed the backgrounds here and the opening panels and stuff. Again, just all of it just works so well. And then the phone call, and just to say, you from that point on, you're like, what the hell's going on? Why is this dude ringing Cthulhu? And why is he trying to pick a fight with a demon? It's like, what are you doing? When I looked at the art the first time, Cthulhu, I'm going to say Man Thing. A bit of Man Thing.
Okay, yeah. Green and straggly, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not quite swampy, but definitely Man Thing, I suppose. You've said it's kind of aimed at, well, not aimed for kids, but kids can see it. By using I suppose, I'm not going to say off model, because that's disingenuous. Non-standard. By using the non-standard idea of what Cthulhu could look like.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
That's probably a better way of doing it.
Yeah.
You've allowed kids to enjoy this, very much like Doctor Who. Like they watch Doctor Who like that, don't they? Oh no, the Daleks.
Yeah, you could see this as a cheap Doctor Who costume from the 80s. Man in a rubber suit.
Don't say it. I wasn't me. I meant it as a compliment.
I have humanized him a little bit in the proportions and stuff. So
again, I mean, you've taken the environments you mentioned earlier about how each one kind of features within Lovecraft, but you've done it in such a way. This is kind of like Arabian Nights style territory. And look again, the colours have changed now. We're now looking. It's a desert scene. It's red. The sun's beating down. It works really well. How much? How can I ask this question? How much research goes into doing a book like this? Is it from your own kind of what you've seen previously, and you kind of think, or is it stuff that you had to go sort of like reimagine from somewhere?
When I'm working on something, I try not to look at anything similar, because it tends to leak into your work. And this is literally, I had my old, reprints of Lovecraft from the 80s, and so I read a story, and sometimes they're a bit of a slog with his style of prose, and just come up with something. I don't know. That's what I said. There were no tight borders on this, on what I had to produce for each page. So it was literally, I'd like to illustrate, maritime New England scene from the 1880s. So that's what you
get on the page.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not helping me out because I hate New England. Being a Miami Dolphin fan, I absolutely hate New England. So, we hate the Patriots. Boo! Well, sorry for everyone who's now turned off, who's a dog lover and a Patriots fan. All right, okay, cool.
Yeah. No, we kept dog lovers. We lost the cat lovers. Yeah.
I love cats.
Oh, you're still here, okay?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, as long as we're all here. What's it like working with Titan? Because I think Titan, from my point of view, in the past, we mentioned Doctor Who there just in passing. That's kind of their bread and butter for so long. That and reprints for DC. Over the last year, 18 months or so, they've absolutely been nailing it. They've got the Gun Honey stuff.
Yeah.
They've got Scarlet Cthulhu's out there now. You've got a new Conan series. You've got this. Yeah. You've got the Burlesque Noir we talked about before the show. What is it about Titan that's sort of like starting to push forward on sort of true independent stuff?
Yeah, I can't speak for what's happening behind the scenes, but
okay. In your experience, then, how's that sound?
Yeah, but I mean, they seem to be searching for to go beyond that IP property that they previously were known for, because that's what I knew them for, was the Doctor Who comics previously. But they've always had a few titles underneath, often European reprints and things of one-off graphic novels. But yeah, you're right. They have, in the last, I'd say 18 months, maybe even 2 years, have been, bringing in some new stuff. And I think it's reflected very well on them.
Definitely. Do you think Titan, and again, this is probably not about Titan per se, this is kind of like an overview observation of the British comic culture, because British comics, it's not like the Americans where you've got like Image, IDW, DC, Marvel, the whole host of people. We have Fleetway, who do 2000 AD, and then we have the Beano. So those are our polar opposites, right? So
yeah.
Titan seem to be trying to get in on the act. Do you think they're going to be to the stage where they're going to perhaps challenge Fleetway? Is 2000 AD too big?
I don't know. I mean, this is all corporate territory in my mind. Well, I sit in a room on my own and I draw pictures.
Right. I apologize. It's just
it's absolutely okay. But yeah, they have seemed to have taken a new position in the market, I think.
Cool. Excellent. It's interesting because they do the hard, from my point of view, from the media, they do the full court press. I've got like 2 or 3 different people email me. I get advanced reviews. I get extra stuff chucked at me. Do I want to interview this person and all that sort of stuff? So for me, they're really pushing the sort of like the boundaries. Fleetway don't contact me. Same as way DC doesn't need my help to promote a Batman book. So it's just the way it is. And not that I hate Fleetway, but Judge Dredd. I know all the Dredd fans have gone. Right, before we take a look at your website and other art, there's one that I would particularly want to look at. Time for an advert for one of our other shows. Where shall we go? I'll tell you what, check this out. You never know, there might be Cthulhu in here somewhere along the lines. Check it out. It's Crisis in the Toyverse. Eventually. There we have it. Crisis in the Toyverse with Bobo. Check him out. There's a new range of McFarlane toys being announced. I'm sure he'll get his hands on those. I didn't see a Cthulhu, but I did see a Rocketeer this time. I hadn't seen him before. I saw RoboCop the other time. Now there's a Rocketeer, so there you go. Check it out. I want to talk to you about some of your art, if that's okay.
Sure.
At first glance, I thought this was a Star Trek thing. And then I had to, when it was a second glance, it kind of like fell into shape. And I absolutely love this. You can see why I thought it was a Star Trek. I thought, there's the Enterprise. I was like, but obviously I'm wrong. But then on top of that, you've got this gorgeous kind of nightscape. Now, I get your art is at times stylized, abstract, some would say. What is it? Because I'm nowhere near an artist. I doodle, just like probably everybody who likes comic books does. I doodle. I can't do. It's a long-winded way, so I apologize for this. You know when you just see superhero comics and they break the back of the female character so you can see both the backside and the front side all at the same time? I can't do that. My head doesn't work like that. I have to draw what I see. I'm very literal when I draw.
Okay.
So when I see things like this, that's abstract and surreal, and it kind of absolutely still makes sense to me, I am blown away by that. What is it that makes you see the universe and the world around you in such vivid, stylized manner?
Maybe it speaks more towards my sense of sanity. I don't know. But in my twisted mind, all I've done with this is almost look at things like with a fisheye lens. So that, mountains that should be straight are curved around.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's just the way I do things. I don't think about it. And maybe if I did think about it, I would pull back from the precipice sometimes.
Don't do that then. Don't start thinking about it. Please don't. Because it's gorgeous as it is. I absolutely... I'm just so impressed by it. I understand the technical element, using the kind of like the fish lens to see, like to curve things around. But how does it even occur to you to do that? That's the thing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's one thing having the technical ability to make the mountains jagged and look like the moon has actually. It looks like the moon is behind the mountains. You look at that picture, and that's what it looks like.
That's what it's supposed to be. Yeah,
it is. I agree. That's it. Now, in a literal sense, for all I know, you drew the mountains and then just colored the moon around it as you did it. When I look at stuff like this, the art looks layered. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's exactly to give away my secrets is how it is. Because because I'm using a drawing program, I'll have different layers. So I'll have like the strange buildings that come up in the Mountain of Madness story on one layer, then I'll have the plane on another layer, then the mountains, then the moon, then the sky. So literally, if you were to do a camera move on this, you could even throw in a bit of that perspective thing where the things in the foreground are moving faster than the things in the background.
Cool. Do you find being an animator helps you then when you're kind of doing this sort of thing? Because animation is about movement. Comics, by definition, and comic art can be quite. I'm not going to say stagnant. Still, I'll say still. There you go. Can be quite still in comparison to having animation move across the screen. You're trusting the reader's eye to be the movement here, aren't you?
Still works on a lot of the same principles that you need a strong pose. You need to make something work well. And I tend to not so much in this book, other than the beginning. In my other books, where they're more like graphic novels, I treat the sequentials as if it's a storyboard for an animated thing. Except I'm not constrained by I have to have the TV dimensions on it. I could go tall and thin when I want to, or short and squat. That is quite.
You mean like that?
Interesting to me. Yeah.
So for me, the talent is obviously first and foremost. It's obvious to see fantastic work all the way through. The second thing is it's kind of you're drawing. I'm not, as I mentioned before, Cthulhu's just a character to me. I don't have any great resonance to him. I understand Lovecraft's impact on literature. Not a, I don't have a great deal of depth of books on him. Yet you've got me intrigued in what's going on, and I'm getting immersed into this world, this kind of strange, chaotic, colourful world where the colours and the art styles are evocative of what's going on the page. You're getting that emotional response. To me, that's the talent, and I'm absolutely blown away by the standard of work in this book. It is
Good, because that's what I was going for. I know it will resonate obviously more with people that know Lovecraft and stories. They can go through, I know this story, I know that story. But I was hoping it would also act as an introduction for people that don't know at all or much about it. At least they can, they have the visuals to interest them, and they, and then having done it in the rhyme, it gives it a bit of fun and flow.
Yeah.
Hopefully will take them through the book quickly, and then at the end I've got a little glossary of each little story with a little summation of each story, just that's being represented with a single illustration.
See, and this is you mentioned it early on in the pod that Lovecraftian can be hard to read.
Oh yes.
So this book could be a fantastic doorway into finding more. Okay, getting your little teaser, getting your feet wet before you jump in and go all immersive and stuff. So yeah, I think the book works on so many different ways. It's absolutely gorgeous. It is gorgeous. There's no ifs, no buts, no coconuts on that at all. I want to take a look at your webpage. You have a webpage. We'll have the banner up in a second. There it is. Mooseboy.co.uk.
That's it.
Why Mooseboy?
Well, as you can tell from my accent, I'm not really from this island originally. I'm Canadian, and as a freelance animator, I thought it might be good to have a name on my website that people will remember instantly if they don't even remember my proper name. And it has worked. That people have gone, oh, who's that guy, the Moose Boy? If they're not that familiar with me, and it has worked as sort of a little marketing tool within the community I work in. With a little bit of fun, though. As I get older, I'm not sure if I should have the boy bit on there.
Listen. Sue Storm will always be the invisible girl, no matter what you call her. What I found interesting recently is that I read a Supergirl book, and Supergirl is one word, yet Power Girl is 2 words. Go figure.
I don't know.
What's that all about? That's just bonkers. Anyway, enough. Back to you. I have a friend at work, Carly, and her daughter, Lily, absolutely love this little guy. Maybe not Yoda, but definitely Groku.
Which one are we looking at?
This one? The little Yoda guy?
The little Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda, 3 across. There he is.
Yep.
And yet, I've seen this sort of stuff before as well, this kind of horned monster. It reminds me of
that's from my animation days, so that's Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. I was just about to say my kids used to love Foster's. Yeah, man. So full circle. So this is off your website. We'll have a look at the interactions there. So yeah. Scary person typing the keyboard. Who's that guy?
Oh, that's you know that guy, yeah.
Oh, look, Mark. For someone who doesn't like cats, you've got plenty of them kicking around.
You can't escape them in the media.
Cool, excellent. So you've got animation, design, illustration, your graphic novels on there, so you get to have a click and see what goes on. What was it like working on something like Foster's?
Well, I never worked on the series proper, but what I used to do a lot for both Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon is do promotional animation for them.
Okay.
So when they were
Yeah.
doing competitions or ads and they needed a bespoke piece of animation based
Uh-huh.
on the show, I would do that sort of things, which was quite nice, you know. So every few weeks I was working on a different series, so to speak.
Oh man, yeah, they don't make shows like that anymore. I sound so old when I say this, you know. But when my kid was a kid, he was watching things like, imagine it, Foster's. He was reading that, watching that, Justice League, things like that as well, I suppose. And then somewhere along there, he started watching Chowder. And I was like, I don't understand. What's this one about? And he's like, oh, it's about the kid who eats. I'm like, what? What? When did that become a thing? You know, and I just, Chris, is that Dexter there? Is that Dexter's lab?
We're looking, I don't see Dexter anywhere there.
Who's the googly one here with the? He's just eating something dodgy. Where we at?
Oh,
So
we did a second row at the end.
yeah,
Yeah, that was an ad for Strepsils.
Strepsils.
Yeah, Strepsils for your sore throat.
So basically, what we're saying is, a life as an animator can be pretty weird, right?
Oh, yeah, it goes without saying.
Do you have a particular, I suppose, genre for animation, or is it just do you like just the design element and trying to incorporate different things?
Yeah, well, I'm not a Disney animator. I'm gonna say that. You know, that's a different kind of animation entirely. So I like the nice flat graphic looking stuff, and which I think you sort of see in my comic book work as well. So
Cool. I'm going to go have a look at the graphic novels. So this is when.
I'm watching to see what mistakes there are on my site. I haven't updated for a while.
Oh dear. Okay. So the junction which we've mentioned.
Yeah, that was my first one that Titan did. Yeah.
Cool. Call to Cthulhu, which is due out in I've got the date here.
Yeah,
Hang on.
December
13th.
Yeah, I think there's different dates for the UK and the US, I think, but I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. So for those that are interested, the book is on previews right now. Your order code is ORG, so that's Alpha Uniform Golf 231040. Previews have it shipping on the 13th of December. That's off their website, so I don't know if there are separate dates. I know the dates with Titan can be a little bit loose. No,
Yeah, I think there was a bit of worldwide shipping issue. I think with cargo and thing, and I don't think the whole world's cargo system has returned to normal since the whole pandemic thing and everything was in the wrong place. It just hasn't seemed to have got back to 100% yet.
Let me ask you a question about your books, because you've got quite a few different, maybe not genres the right word, but different vibes for sure.
Yeah.
The junction, you've got the junction, downlands, you've got the space between the trees.
Yeah.
I think I've seen something about that recently. And now you've got Cthulhu as well. That's quite a. Do you feel I think it's diverse. Do you think it's a diverse portfolio of work, or are there overlapping themes through each book? You mentioned that they're personal to you, so I'm assuming there must be some small sort of carryover if they're extensions of you in that regard.
Yeah, it's a frightening concept, an extension of myself. Cthulhu is very different than any of my other books because it's lighthearted. Whereas both the Junction and Downlands have very similar themes of supernatural and about loss. The Junction sort of reflects my childhood in Canada. It's kind of going back to that, whereas Downlands is a tale that's here in the UK, and it's wrapped up in the superstition and folklore of the UK, which we have very little of in Canada. So when moving here, it's like really interesting, the layers of history and legends and stories about all the places.
Well, you say that, but I just take it all for granted. That's what we do, isn't it? When we're
Yeah, I suppose you do.
I'll probably go to Canada. I'll be like, "Whoa, this is Canada."
That's it about
Whoa.
people who are. Oh,
sorry,
I think there was a loss there of signal for a minute.
Okay, cool. I wasn't saying anything important. It's fine.
Okay.
So I think there is a level of, it's interesting when people come over to our thing to a different country, because I get to see my world through your eyes a little bit, because I'm a little bit jaded. I'm a little bit, like, oh, look, yeah, it's the beach. Oh, yeah. Where other people are like, whoa, it's the beach. It's just the way it works, right? Cool.
Yeah, you often don't realize what's on your own doorstep till you have visitors from somewhere else.
Yeah,
you're showing them around. Oh, yeah, that is pretty cool,
Yeah. You guys have burgers. We have burgers. You guys get pizza and all that sort of stuff. Mentioned it earlier. The preview code is there. That's in Previews World, so it's on Diamond. You can also check out the Titan website as well.
I've got one of the few advanced copies right there.
Ooh,
very nice.
Get you posh
Nice and big.
You can follow Norm on social media. On Twitter, yes, I'm still calling it Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna,
everyone's still called. Is it officially called X now? I don't know.
I think it is. But I don't call it that because Twitter. It's always been Twitter. So it's like I don't call Facebook Meta. It's Facebook.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Twitter is there. The Instas are there, and you've got your B-Sky social as well. I like how they're all the same. That's the sort of crazy stuff.
They were different previously, and I went through and made sure they were all the same.
No Moose Boys on there then. If you type Moose Boy on Twitter, you'll go somewhere completely different. So
quite possibly. I actually haven't looked to see what that is.
We talk about Moose Boy. You can check out the website there as well. Okay, there is a shop on there, so if you see something that you like, whether it be art or whether it be a book, get yourself over there, make your purchase. Ka-chings. Norm, give me your 60 seconds on why people should be checking out or rushing down to their local comic book shop to put the pre-order in for Call to Cthulhu.
Because it would make me really happy. Is that a nice?
You know what? That's the almost honest answer I've ever had to that question. Yeah, because I want this. Bring me some money. Bring me the cheddar cheese.
Yeah, I want the fame. I want the fortune. Yeah, that's obviously why I got into comics, because that is what happens to all comic book artists. Obviously,
yeah, and podcasters are just like one step behind that. Yeah, that's why.
No, I just think it's a good bit of fun, especially if you know Lovecraft and the Cthulhu stories.
Cool.
But it can be an introduction to someone who doesn't as well, quite easily.
Oh, this guy.
There you go.
Norm, it's been an absolute blast having you on the show. We'll run through this the dates one more time. There's the socials. Dead easy. It's the same thing. Just check out Twitter, check out Insta, and the B-Sky on there. Check out the website for the stuff you saw earlier. And of course, the previews code is there. And again, you can always, as I said, go to Titan's website and pre-order. Don't try Comixology, because there's some news breaking today that I noticed that Comixology is now done and done. Amazon is trying to kick everybody to Kindle Comics.
Yeah. I know. There's a corporate, kind of pattern there of buying someone out and making it rubbish.
Yeah. Well,
that we, until it's unusable.
Yeah. I had the Comixology account on the mobile phone, and when I changed my phone, I had to reload my Comixology account, which is fine to do that. But then all the comics I'd purchased had disappeared.
Oh, great.
They were like, oh yeah, because you've changed your phone and you've had to like download your account again. you have to start buying comics again. I was like,
What?
I've already paid for them once.
Yeah.
So they're my comics. And like, oh no, that's not how it works. At which point I deleted the app and said, well, that's not how it works in a comic book shop. And I go down to the comic book shop, I buy my comic, I put it in my box with all my other comics, and in about 3 weeks' time I can go back and it's still there. Well,
And a lot more people get a piece of the pie then, you know, the shop gets something, and
yeah.
whereas Jeff Bezos gets everything. Well,
Yeah.
not the right
I am very much a comics fan. I like the comic.
Yeah. Well, I always like the physical book. It's part of the whole experience.
I remember an alleged quote from Stan Lee. Never argue with Stan Lee, I don't think. But the alleged quote from Stan Lee goes something like this. When asked about digital comics taken over from regular comic books, Stan Lee replies, I like looking at pictures of boobs. I'd rather hold one in my hand, though.
Great man. There you
go. On that note, Norm, you've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Your book looks absolutely gorgeous. As I said, not a massive Cthulhu fan, but I looked at it, I loved it, I smiled at it, I found it funny. The art's engaging, it's immersive, it's just so striking in places. I love the fact you've got my cat in there. That's pretty cool. My cat's stepping out as a model. Thanks a lot. So I think you'll do fantastic. It's a really good book. If you are a Cthulhu fan, go check it out. If you want to know what all the grief is about Cthulhu, go check this out, and that'll help you get to where you need to be. Simple as.
Well, thank you for all the kind words, and thank you for having me on.
You are more than welcome. Don't forget to check out the UCPM for all your favorite shows. You saw the trailer for it earlier. Crisis in the Toyverse. And if you like your comics of a certain vintage, don't forget to check out the Old Timers Comic Book Show, where the hosts aren't old. That's a lie. But the comics most certainly are. That's the truth. All right. There you go. One last time, Norm, thank you so much for spending the evening. I really do appreciate it.
Right. Cheers.
As for everyone else, I've been your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes. Adios.
Visit undercovercapes.com for the latest and greatest podcasts via the Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Also visit our parent company website, comiccrusaders.com, all about comic pop culture.